Hello everyone and welcome to this round of Ed Talks, and today I'm so excited because we are in the throbbing Punjab capital city, Chandigarh. We've just done our events in Amritsar, Jalandhar, Ludhiana and Chandigarh city. We have with us today Mr. Anuraj Sandhu, CEO at Canam, and more importantly, he is a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, so an RCIC. So Anuraj, what are your comments and observations about the current situation?
First of all, thanks Ganga, thanks for the introduction, and we've already had these 2-3 events and we've been able to meet so many students, so I can actually sort of draw some kind of a picture on what is actually going on, and I would like to take this opportunity to explain to all the listeners over here, all our audience, which is primarily students, that what really is going on. We all know what's going on in India right now and what's happening with the student population, what are the options that they're looking at, and what is happening in Canada.
The events have been so good, such a huge number of students. Look at the walk-ins that we've had. I think there's a huge interest now. The messaging is very positive.
Interest to study in Canada is always going to remain, for the simple reason that I don't see any other country as an educational destination which can match up to the aspirations of a large number of people who belong to that community, who have interest in not just studies alone. They're looking at a complete career. The whole thing is a package of a career, which is when you go on to go and study in a good college, good program, and be able to work after that. To be able to work after that, you need a postgraduate work permit right from that country. And after that, you're looking at an opportunity to work, get a job, and maybe have a chance for permanent residency.
Right.
So these are the aspirational areas, and this is where there are various countries offering their options. But when you really study, if I was to make a chart of Canada versus various other countries, Canada stands out as the most attractive option, and it remains the most attractive options. So the interest level is very high, but there was always a blockage of a little fear factor of should we take that step now, because they've been hearing a lot in the media, or they've been hearing generally about what was being talked about in various circles about Canada. So I'd like to explain what really happened. It's very important for everyone to understand what really happened. Canada, for ease of understanding for everyone, I'll divide it into 3 phases. One is called the golden phase, and then the post-COVID phase, and now the current phase. So I call the first phase from 2000, say, just to put a figure on it, 2010 to 2020, till COVID happened, is the golden phase of Canada as a destination. A very large volume of students were going to Canada, fairly large, which was being controlled very effectively by the government of Canada. There's a very good system set in place, and our perception, our understanding of the industry was that this golden phase would last at least 20 years. That was what my thought was, but it was cut short by 10 years because of COVID. So that 10 years was a golden phase where the system was controlled, that you would go to a good institution, the institutions had limited seats, and the private college culture was not so strong, and that was the phase which was going on. And very often, if you went to small private colleges, I was noticing that students are getting visa rejects. So it was a controlled flow of students, and they were going in there. They were fulfilling their complete aspiration. Was a perfect one. You go study there, you get a post-study work permit, and after post-study work permit, you can be eligible for permanent residency. That is what was going on, and I call that. And my net result to call it a golden phase was because when I interact or when I'm in touch with students of that phase, 2010 to 2019-20, and even people who are watching, they were their friends and relatives who went in that phase, would have noticed that most of them are settled down, they have nice homes, they have nice cars, they have a nice quality of life, everything is in place. And then COVID happened. COVID happened. For 2 years, there was no action. Obviously, because of COVID, this year 2020 and year 2021 were kind of a black-grey zone for every industry, not just in education. In every industry, there was a black zone where there was no mobility. No one was moving from one country to the other. There were travel restrictions. And when that COVID, the effect of which lasted for those 2 years, when it opened up an opportunity for people to look into education abroad, but that student population was not the population of 2022. It was also the ones who had graduated or finished their schooling in 20 and 21. Right. So they all piled in together. It became threefold. So suddenly there was a very large, super large interest for people to go to Canada. The number of students swelled to double of what it was in 2018 or 19.
Right.
Suddenly, the number of students who were let into Canada was 2 times.
In fact, more than double.
More than double, actually. And that created it's like a situation of chaos, that like a traffic jam. The infrastructure was not ready. The physical and the social infrastructure in Canada was not ready for that. And the students went in very large numbers. And when they went in very large numbers, most of them somehow got concentrated because of many private partnership college programs. They got concentrated in Toronto, Vancouver. It was a chaotic situation created. The infrastructure was not strong enough. Housing became a problem. And everything related to your being there became a problem. Finding part-time jobs became a problem. And then the government of Canada realized, oh my God, we've done something wrong. We let too many people in. We were too liberal, and we allowed too many. They created loopholes for bad actors to play at that time, and means bad actors, whether they were consultants or whether they were agents of various kinds, and even the liberal attitude of the government of Canada in issuing visas. So then, in January 24, they decided to tighten the screw. So that's when they tightened the screw, and then when they started to tighten the screw, rather than just tightening it once, they went through phases of one policy at a time. I mean, they changed policies over 6-7 months that led to various things, that also led to insecurity in the minds of students as to what is Canada doing. And Canada was doing the tightening slowly because they didn't want to bring a sudden change. But now the policies changes and everything else is kind of settled. And I believe that Canada is back on track to something very similar to what was in 2015 or 16 or 17, what are called as a golden phase. So I would like to call this phase now, which is starting now, which is a control phase, to be a replica of the 2010-2020. And I remember we used to say that this golden phase at least is going to last 20 years based on our own internal stats. So I would say it's the start of the second 10 years now. That was 10 years, it's the start of another 10 years. And this is the time for people who take the steps now will be the biggest beneficiaries, because anyone who enters the golden phase in the earlier stages benefits the most.
Right.
Because as you move forward, competition will set in. Seats will be limited because Canada is limiting the number of options available for you. There's a capping on it. Which our colleges can get you in. All those things will set in. So once you enter the phase later, someone who comes in 2, 3, 4 years are going to face competition. The ones who go right now, for them it's going to be a smooth path according to my assessment.
Right. So now we're in a sweet spot. Absolutely. And now that it's been there for quite some time, there's been a lot of messaging from people like us, experts who've been giving you a lot of information. We've brought you the latest updates. You've been visiting our events. There have been huge footfalls in our events. We've been giving, with Anuraj and myself, have really been giving a lot of information to all of you. So I think we continue to remain in the sweet spot and continue to watch our various Ed Talks, Ed News and Insight Eds, and remain updated on the international education scene. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Ganga.